You just had an opportunity to take notes on page 21 on how you can graph a line in slope-intercept form. We're going to run through the steps just to verify that you feel confident, and please make sure you let me know if you have questions. So the first step in graphing from a line in slope-intercept form is to graph the y-intercept on the coordinate plane. So I'm going to go ahead and put an ordered pair at 0, 2. The reason why is because 0, 2 is the y-intercept. Okay, so when I look through this, the next step is to use the slope to at least find 2 more points. Remember, you just need 2 points to make a line, but the more the better. And remember, we want to make slope triangles to be able to find more ordered pairs. So remember, we're going to do change in y over change in x. Now, when we do change in y over change in x, we have to make sure that the slope, or the m, is in a fractional form, which is right here. So 4 actually means the same as 4 over 1. So what I'm going to do is go up 4 because the change in y is positive. So I'm going to go up 4. And then because my change in x is positive, I'm going to go 1 to the right. So I'm going to start off at the y-intercept at 2, and I'm going to go up 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 1 to the right. Now, as I look at this, as I look at this graph, there's 1 point. So again, I went up 4 and over 1. But if I didn't have enough space, it looks like I wouldn't have enough room to go up 4 again. So I'm going to do the slope backwards. So instead of going up 4 and 1 to the right, I'm going to go ahead from that y-intercept and go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 to the left. And sure enough, when I get to that point, I can do my final step because this is not a story problem. This is not a problem where we have a scenario. So we're going to go ahead and connect these ordered pairs to the best of our ability. Again, I'm using my pen here. So I'm going to connect those ordered pairs, forming a line, drawing arrows on both ends. This particular data set is continuous because I'm connecting the dots, but make sure again that you're drawing an arrow at both ends. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and start at -5 on the y-axis because that's my y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. There is my ordered pair. And then my slope, my change in y over change in x, happens to be 2 over 3. So if I look at this one, it's already in a fractional form. So that means the positive 2 is going to tell me go up 2 blocks. The positive 3 is going to tell me move to the right. If you're not sure, again, will we go up or down for change in y, it's because that looks and models what our y-axis looks like. Change in x, remember, models left, right, what our x-axis looks like. So from that y-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and go up 2 blocks and over 3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, and over 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I can continue to keep going up 2 and over 3, up 2 and over 3. And I can continue it in the opposite direction by going down 2 and 3 to the right. I'm going to go ahead and connect my ordered pairs and drawing an arrow on both ends. Just to verify that I've done both correctly, it doesn't hurt to go back to the rule and verify, did I graph it correctly by using the y-intercept and the slope. So I'm going to go ahead and label my 2 for my y-intercept, always important to do that. And I'm going to draw in one slope triangle to verify, yes, the slope goes up 4 and over 1 to the right. I'm going to do the same for the bottom graph. I'm going to label my y-intercept, which is a great idea to do to verify again that we've graphed it correctly. And I'm going to draw a slope triangle going up 2 and 3 to the right, showing that slope of 2/3. All right, so let's take a look at 2 other options. And I wanted to let you know both of these happen to be positive. So if for some reason this was, like, say, and let me just put a little small one in here just to verify that you feel confident with those negatives. Let's say my rule was y is equal to 1x, let's say -1x plus 2. So I would go ahead, start at the y-axis on a 2. And because my slope is -1, sometimes you would see it like this in the book, y is equal to -x plus 2. Sometimes that 1 is not there. But remember, it's just invisible in front. Change in y over change in x for this one would be -1 over 1. Remember, just like this one on the top, we want to put a 1 underneath that slope if it's not in a fractional form. All right, so because this is a negative 1 over 1, that means I'm going to go down 1 and then 1 to the right. So I'm going to go down 1, 1 to the right, down 1, 1 to the right. I could also go backwards and go up 1 and 1 to the left. I'm going to go ahead and connect my ordered pairs here and verify again that my line is starting at 2, which it is right here, and that my slope triangle here is down 1 over 1. And I'm going to also verify again too that this is a positive slope of 4 up here, so my line's going up from left to right. This one, my slope is negative, so therefore my line is going downward from left to right. And this slope right here of 2/3 is positive, so it goes upward from left to right. All right, let's look at a couple of unique situations. We learned about this on page 20 of our notes. How does a zero slope look? How does an undefined slope look? We've already talked about that 0 is horizontal and undefined is vertical. Remember, undefined means that you can't walk on it, you can't drive on it. It's vertical. It's the steepest line out there. Zero slope, remember, is horizontal. It's flat. It's the easiest to run or walk on. That is the least steep slope out there. We have to know now how to graph them. So we all know that a zero slope should be horizontal. And as we look at this rule, it says y is equal to 2. Sometimes it's hard to determine what is that. So we have to find out what the slope is. And so if I do not see an mx plus b, what I'm going to do is just to make sure that I put it in that form. So if it says y equals 2, that means it means the same as y equals 0x plus 2. And because it has a zero slope, it has a y-intercept of 2, I'm going to use that same strategy, putting a dot at 2 on the y-axis, an ordered pair. And then because I do not have, so again, change in y over change in x, if that is equal to 0, I have no change in y, but I do have a change in x. And so if I put a 1 under that, that means for every time I move over 1, I'm not going up or down. Every time I move over 1, I'm not going up or down. And eventually, as you look at this pattern, you will just draw a line that is horizontal, showing a zero slope and a y-intercept of 2. You can't make a slope triangle for this one because it doesn't have any steepness. It is a flat line that goes horizontal, zero slope. So this is how you would write it. All right, let's take a look at this bottom one. So this is going to be the one. So let me write this again. The top is 0, and this bottom one is going to be undefined. Okay, so if you have an undefined slope, I know some people like to say no slope. There is no slope at all to this line. So if I think about the form that we've been using, it's called slope-intercept form. You cannot use slope-intercept form at all to write the equation for this line. So I'm going to put here, no slope-intercept form. Okay. And I wanted to let you know that this is the only line that cannot be written in slope-intercept form, the only line. So when I think about this, I know it has to be vertical, and it says x is equal to -4. So I'm going to find where x is equal to -4. So I'm going to be looking at my x-axis, and I'm going to start at the origin and go to the left 4 to find out where x is equal to -4. 1, 2, 3, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here is -4. Now, a vertical line, because we know undefined, we talked about this in our last unit, is vertical. I'm going to draw a vertical line that goes through when x is equal to -4. This means that the change in y is 1 and my change in x is 0. So that means as I'm going up 1, I can't go to the left or right. As I go up 1, I can't go left or right. Up 1, can't go left or right. And that pattern would continue as I go downward. So anytime that you want to graph a line that has an undefined slope, you're going to look at the rule and it's going to say x equals a number. We call it a constant. It's the only number that stays the same. And you're going to go to the x-axis and find when x is equal to -4. We call this an x-intercept. It's where the line touches the x-axis. And then you're going to draw a vertical line. I hope that helps. And like I said, if you feel like you need any other assistance, make sure you use your notes on 20 and 21 or check in with me.